Hey everybody, I'm Tim Hockett. Before I address today's subject, I want to give a little shout out to the Josephson Institute down in California. They've been champions of character building for decades and have developed teaching and study materials. Maybe you've heard of character counts programs in schools. They're behind that. Anyhow, many years ago when I used to teach ethics in college, I relied heavily on their leadership and a lot of their materials. As I mentioned in the initial video on this channel, I'm concerned about the heavy political polarization we're finding in America that's resulting in people choosing sides and venting anger and even resorting to violence. While this anger boiled over on January 6, 2021 with the attack on our nation's capital, the vitriol and threats continue unabated. Name calling, belittling, humiliating, manipulating are just more and more common. But in my view, the sickness of unethical behavior is infecting all parts of society, not just the political world. Too many of us are just losing it on the highways, on airplanes, in restaurants, grocery stores, in public gatherings. Fewer and fewer people want to go to a school board meeting or a city council meeting out of either disgust or actual fear. So today I've chosen to talk about that good old-fashioned respect. Yep, RESPECT. Aretha was right. We want it and we should be willing to give it. I want you to think about someone whom you respect, someone that you hold in high regard, someone you think is just really a good person. Hold that person there in your mind. Someone who brings the best out of you, someone you look up to. That's what we should aspire to. I think of the person in my mind as just unbelievably gracious. Respect is a tricky character and behavioral trait because while it should be given, it should also be earned. The institute I mentioned above published some good stuff on respect, and they mentioned, among other things, people are not things. Each of us has inherent value, and we like to be recognized as valuable. And while we don't have an obligation to hold all people in high esteem, we should treat everyone with respect. People of character recognize that we have an obligation to be our best, even when dealing with unpleasant people. The golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, is a great encapsulation of the attitude that we're after when we say we want to be respectful. You see, respect prohibits violence and humiliation and manipulation and exploitation. It demonstrates or protects civility, courtesy, dignity, autonomy, tolerance, and acceptance. I know that's a ton of stuff, but it's good stuff. I suppose my first lessons on being respectful came from my parents, who would first teach us and then insist that we mind our manners. Simple things like not interrupting someone, or learning to listen, or being friendly, or giving deference to older folks or people with special needs, and eventually learning to tolerate or even accept differences, whether we understood those differences or not. I was taught that good people are mindful of others, and they show it. Because I've come to value the character trait of respect, I was very upset by our former president's penchant for disrespectful behavior. At virtually every rally and within almost every speech, he used derisive terms to describe anyone who disagreed with him. He made it his mantra to call people names. He humiliated whomever he could if he thought he could score points. and he exploited any weakness of those he deemed enemies. You know, it makes for great entertainment, pardon me, but it's a horrible example. Where was his dignity, his civility, his decency? He called all that weakness. For years, people of color all over the world have fought just to be recognized as equals by their white counterparts. They just wanted to be respected. For years, women all over the world have fought to be recognized and respected by men. Sadly, the battle is shockingly alive in places like Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, and many African nations where they treat women as chattel, as property. Even in America, we can't seem to get the Equal Rights Amendment across the finish line. It occurs to me that respectful people have enough humility to accept others as equal, if not better, than they are. If you like Bible stuff, read Romans chapter 12. I urge you to be a respectful person. Again, we're not obliged to honor someone who misbehaves and treads upon solid ethical norms. But our job, if we want to try to unite America, is to do good and to be good. And let's make it easy for others to respect us. Thanks for watching. I'm Tim Hockett.